Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Go ahead and take a look at the pitching for today, the 27th of June. It is Friday. We do have a 14-game main slate this evening. Pretty gigantic slate. Largest slate of the season. I do believe we have not seen a full 15-gamer. Weather-wise, we don't have a lot to worry about. Some slight delay chances in a number of games. A lot of games in the 80s, but not the warm-up trend that we saw at the end of last week, where a ton of games were in the 90s. A little better environments for pitching. Not a whole lot better, but still a little better. No real wind to worry about. Wind blowing in Detroit might come in handy. In Boston, 67. Surprisingly, could be a decent spot for pitching. I'm not even sure who's on the mound. This is a legitimate first look at the pitching options on the slate. I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you play on FanDuel, I would cut my pool in half or even a third tonight. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You don't have to be as creative. Allows you to get the stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Now, with all that said and done, let's take a look at the pitching in front of us this evening. Game 1, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Pepio, and Sugano. Man, these player cards get me every time. Now it's going right straight to game log. So they've definitely adjusted the player card again a little bit, which is nice. Dark mode might obviously have something to do with how the numbers kind of run together for me, at least for my eyes. But Pepio shut down Baltimore the first time he faced him, 11 strikeouts. He randomly has these big strikeout games. I shouldn't say randomly. He has that strikeout upside. A little less than a K per inning on the season. 2 earned or less allowed in 5 of 7. 3 earned or less allowed in every start since mid-April. Obviously, we don't really want 3 earned runs allowed, but 7+ strikeouts in 4 straight starts. I like the spot for Pepio quite a bit, actually. I believe he is a pretty solid reverse splits guy. And if that is the case, that plays even stronger against Baltimore. And probably why he had some success in his first start. Yeah, so bring it up on my other monitor. Left-handed batters are hitting $173 against him on the season. Has given up 14 home runs, but that's all right. I mean, it's a little under 1.5 per 9. Not the greatest, but I think a lot of those probably came at home. Yeah, 12 of the 14 have come in home starts because of that ballpark, obviously. Sugano on the other side, just not somebody I'm going to get to, I don't believe. I think he had his little run where we used him a few times, but since then, 3+ runs allowed in 4 out of his last 5 starts, 5 out of his last 7. Has not faced Tampa Bay yet, but still, 14 home runs allowed, 83 and 2/3 innings. 8 home runs, so a home run every roughly 5 innings, just under 5 innings. So that's 1.8 per 9. I'm just not interested in Sugano. Definitely more interested in the Tampa Bay bats. The A's and the Yankees. I am intrigued a little bit here by Will Warren against the A's, just because we've seen the A's has some pretty big struggle games recently. He shut down the A's the first time he faced them. He has been at his best when at home. Strikeout numbers are up there quite a bit when at home. Now I'm curious what his K prop is on this late. 6.5. Basically a pick 'em. Juice slightly on the over. Pepio 5.5. Juice strongly on the over. So definitely 2 guys I've been interested in. Warren, obviously more volatile, but I think he has upside. Spence not going to do it for me against the Yankees. I will gladly pass in this spot. San Diego, Cincinnati, Dylan Cease, a guy that has racked up some ownership recently in some weird spots. Super high owned this start against LA. Not overly high owned in this start against LA, and then he got lit up. And I think he was pretty high owned in the start against Kansas City. Strikeouts weren't there against Kansas City, which we expect. Walks, 3+ walks in 4 out of his last 5 starts. That racks up pitch count for a guy that racks up pitch count anyways. With that said, a ton of K upside in this matchup against Cincinnati. A little dangerous because it is in Cincinnati. Cease has done a pretty good job limiting home runs. A home run about every 11 innings. It's pretty good. But still, it is a ballpark that does allow home runs to happen. Nick Martinez, generally pretty decent, but I don't think we want to rely on him. Not a big K guy, and then San Diego, not a big K squad. But the overall San Diego offense has been somewhat weak, so I'm sure there are going to be people out there talking about sneaking in Nick Martinez. I will not be one of them. Toronto, Boston, Barrios and Bayo. I prefer Barrios when he is pitching at home, generally. He's had 2 pretty good starts against Boston this season. Like I did mention, there is some weather that would lean towards pitching in Fenway, so I think I'm going to have to be on Barrios, especially because that Boston lineup is weaker now. Bayo, we just used him a couple times here, at least this game, and I feel like there's one other one recently, probably the Angels one. Strikeouts have been up the last couple, but I don't really expect that to continue. Plus, Toronto, not a huge K squad. Probably going to have to pass on Bayo. St. Louis, Cleveland. Sonny Gray, somebody that I do utilize. I prefer him at home. He's been pretty bad on the road with St. Louis. Strong start against Cincinnati last time out. Rough one against Milwaukee. He's kind of all over the place. He's either really dominant right now or just absolutely horrendous. I think he's somebody I want to sneak in because I just think he's going to be overlooked. And I think he does have enough upside. Luis Ortiz, somebody that we've utilized a couple times, coming off of a massive K performance against the A's. I might pass on him because I just don't want to chase that performance. I'll have to dig into St. Louis's recent strikeout numbers. I know they started out the season not striking out all that much, and that's a big thing. Take a look at his prop to get a little idea here. It must have skipped over. Oh, there we go. 4.5. It's not the most intriguing K prop out there, but it's not terrible, I guess, either. Minnesota, Detroit. Wind was blowing in, so it did intrigue me a little bit, but man, Festa, despite being really strong in the minors, just has not shown it at the major league level. He did shut down Detroit, but I'm just not sure I'm going to get there, to be honest. Probably going to have to pass on Festa. Probably going to pass on Gibson Long. I don't know if Long has enough upside for us. He might in the spot, but I mean, if he matches, the start against Baltimore, this appearance, I don't know if he started. 16.1 on a 14-game slate, just not going to do it for me. So maybe we just end up passing on that game from pitching, which doesn't feel the greatest, but you might have to. Philly, Atlanta. I think I'm going to end up passing on pitching in this game as well. I like Abel, but since his ridiculously strong debut, he's been below average to average. And that's not really going to get it done on a 14-gamer. Bryce Elder, 9 runs allowed over his last 8 2/3. That doesn't sound intriguing. Was absolutely dominant against San Francisco. This might be his best career start when everything's said and done for Elder. I'm just not expecting something like that to happen in this game. San Francisco, the White Sox lining her out, taking on a White Sox lineup that is obviously weaker. Coming off of a strong start against Boston after he got lit up by the Dodgers. Good bounce back. Definitely somebody I'm intrigued about because he has shown the upside. He has a 30-point performance earlier this season as well. I think Ralph's definitely in play against the White Sox. Savali, probably not going to get there. I just don't think he offers enough upside. I mean, he was decent in these 2 starts, just 2 earned runs allowed, combined for, 21 fantasy points. Not really going to get it done. I just don't know that he has a ceiling enough for a 14-game slate. If he puts up 17, he's in the winning lineup, and I lose tonight, so be it. I'll gladly fade, 16, 17 fantasy points on a 14-game slate. Seattle, Texas. Logan Gilbert, kind of all over the place, but plenty of K upside. I think he's somebody that we want to utilize. He was dominant against the Texas Rangers the first time he faced them. Hasn't been great on the road. That is obviously a worry. 3 home runs allowed in just 9 2/3. I expect those rates to come down. So I think Logan Gilbert's in play. Evalde, I would like to do some research a little bit on him. 3-inning live session, 50 pitch. So he's going to be somewhat limited, I would guess. Probably going to play the wait-and-see approach with Evalde on this slate. The Cubs and the Astros. Cade Horton, probably not going to make it in my pool. He hasn't really shown a big upside performance yet at the major league level. Keep waiting for it, but more of a wait-and-see at this point. Brandon Walters, somebody that we've utilized for some success. This Minnesota game, pretty strong. Actually used him in this Tampa Bay game. Probably not going to get there against the Cubs, even though if you're going to use a pitcher against the Cubs, it probably should be a left-handed pitcher. So that you can kind of take on PCA and Tucker, even though Tucker's pretty solid against left-handed pitchers. But still, I think we're going to have to pass on pitching in that game. Kansas City and the Dodgers. Noah Cameron, somebody that I've used plenty of. Been super impressed by him. Just one bad start on the season. This isn't the greatest one from a fantasy points perspective. Real life baseball one, it's not terrible. But, he's only shown upside in one start over the last month, basically. Not going to use him against the Dodgers, but he is a name that I like to pay attention to. Dustin May just hasn't been great. Kansas City, not a huge strikeout team, but overall they're not a super dangerous lineup. If it was a smaller slate, maybe I'd consider Dustin May, but on this particular slate, I don't think we need to. Colorado, Milwaukee, Quintana, definitely somebody we're going to utilize because we're just going to keep picking on Colorado. Problem here, his ceiling so far this season has been 21 fantasy points. That's not exciting. 20.45 fantasy points, even with more strikeouts. Just couple fewer innings, more walks. He's just not a huge upside guy. 1K, 4 walks in his last start. But I think there is enough upside, and there's a chance that this could be his ceiling game by the end of the season, just because it is Colorado. That's pretty much why we're utilizing him. Kyle Freeland coming off the IL. I'm just not going there against a hotter Milwaukee offense. Washington, LA. I want to dig into these guys a little bit more, especially Irvin, just because LA strikes out a ton. But I want to dig into Irvin. Irvin might make my pool. Soriano probably is going to find his way in my pool, just because he does a good job of limiting home runs. 1 earned run or fewer allowed in 3 straight and 4 out of his last 5. I think he's viable on this slate. And last game of the night, I think Merrill Kelly, somebody we want to use against Miami, especially at home. His numbers are pretty strong when pitching at home. So I like the spot for Merrill Kelly. But there we have it. There's our first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, and get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc. I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.